Hey everybody, welcome back to the Triple C Collective. I'm Jimmy, and we're gonna jump into the Book of Boba Fett season finale in the name of honor. This episode was really great. I really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed all of the Book of Boba Fett, despite the little divergence that we got into Mandalorian. Not saying that I dislike those episodes. Bryce Dallas Howard knocked her episode out of the park. It's one of my favorite Mandalorian episodes like ever. It's just so good. The rest of the series, I've loved it. I have been a big fan of it. I love every little bit of it. There hasn't been much that I haven't just loved in this show. So like I I've really liked it. I really liked this episode. I thought it was really cool. Um, there was a lot of cool stuff. So let's dive in. Excuse me. This episode opens where kind of episode 6 ends. The destruction of Madame Garza's sanctuary, her little bar, cantina place. And we have Boba Fett, Fennec, and then followed by the Mandalorian, all meeting there. They're all talking about plans, kind of next move. The Mandalorian confirms that the people of Freetown will come. There's actually a really great back and forth about well, the people of Mos Elpo. No. They're Freetown now. They changed the name. Oh, well, tell the people of Freetown they have my word. Well, you'll be able to tell them yourself when Cobb Vanth shows up. And this was a really nice little back and forth there. It was really great that Boba Fett was willing to, because the whole deal was stopping the sale of spice in the territory, and Fennec wanting to get allies but not wanting to sacrifice the money was like, no, we shouldn't do this. And Boba Fett was like, no, we'll do it. It's the whatever. So they move on from that, and it is a there is another kind of like challenge that Boba Fett then gets from the mods, from the mod crew, in the fact that he says he wants to go back to the palace where they can hunker down and where they can be like safe and like like regroup and replan and all of that. Whereas the mods are like, no, we're gonna stay here. If you want to like rule Mos Espa, like we stay here, we hunker down here, we figure out what's going on with the people here, and this is how you like win them over. And it's a fair point that you stay, you check on everyone in the neighboring areas there, making sure everyone's okay, not like disturb anything like that. Not bad idea to do if you're trying to like kind of rule this area, kind of be the head honcho, be the head of the Gorda. It's not a bad idea to try and win those people's hearts, because nobody's really loyal to him. Like, we've seen that. Like, nobody's really loyal to Boba Fett here other than Fennec and like now the Mandalorian. So other than those two, really, he has no one. Then we cut to the Pike meeting. We have Cad Bane again. We have the Pike leader. We have the mayor. They're all meeting together in the same place that we saw Boba Fett meet with the Pike mayor, or I'm sorry, the Pike leader, who is voiced by Phil Lamar. Awesome, so good. And this is really interesting. We learn a little bit more about like what's going on with them. We also get, that was kind of alluded to before by Fennec when Boba Fett tells Fennec after he saves her that Tusken Raiders were taken out by Nikto speed biker gang, and she's like, "There's no way," and or finds that hard to believe, I think is what she says. And we find out here that it was the Pikes who killed the Tuskens and then framed the speed bike gang. And I mean, we all kind of knew it, right? Or we knew that like the Pikes sent the Nikto. If that was the thing, like the Pikes might have sent a couple of guys with them, a couple of bruisers or whatever, with the speed bike gang to make sure that they could accomplish that. But no, the the Pikes did it and framed the Nikto speed bike gang, and that's all she wrote. We get the we get Cad Bane also asking the Pike leader if Boba Fett knows that the Pikes, had destroyed, killed, slaughtered the Tusken Raider tribe that Boba Fett was living with and living among. The Pike leader, and that's when the Pike leader says no, like that's when they framed him. But it's just, like, it's something that Cad Bane, feather in his cap, you don't want to give that kind of information to that guy. For anyone who doesn't know, up until this point, I don't think I really said it. Go watch Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch. Watch it. Off the top of my head, I don't remember like every single episode that Cad Bane is in, but he's in enough that he's a really cool character. There is definitely history between Boba Fett and Cad Bane. Cad Bane at one point was a mentor teacher type bounty hunter person to Boba Fett. We see that throughout different points in like the Clone Wars and everything like that, because that's fairly close to right after Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith and all of that stuff. So well before Empire and A New Hope and anything where we would have seen Boba in his 30s or 40s or whatever. So yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that little going off a little rail there. But we also get the mayor saying that the mayor didn't okay bombing Madame Garza's place because he didn't want the collateral damage from it, and that also totally sparks out an all-out war, which he was trying to avoid. He was just trying to hurt Boba Fett, take away his power and stuff. Madame Garza's place was a good place or whatever, aside from the tie to Boba Fett, it was a good place. They could have worked with it once Boba Fett was gone and everything like that. And the Pike leader's just doesn't really care that much. Then we leave this conversation with Cad saying that he may have a way to draw out Boba Fett because they know that Boba Fett is in Madame Garza's sanctuary, and Cad Bane says we may have. He's I may have an idea of how to draw out Boba Fett, and that was a really bad Cad Bane. Whew, that was bad. Then we get the title card and title sequence, the Book of Boba Fett. In the Name of Honor is the name of this final episode. Again, this whole opening, I love it. I love the I love everything that we have gotten so far. Then we get the arrival of an X-Wing. The X-Wing has R2-D2, so we can only assume that Luke and Grogu are here to return Grogu, say bye to the Mandalorian. Not really sure, but the X-Wing shows up at Pelimoto's place, and she walks up. It's really interesting to see now that the X-Wing is associated with being like the space police now, as opposed to the like symbol of like rebellion and freedom that it once was. Because like, you know, we saw it with we've seen it all throughout the Mandalorian with Din with his Razor Crest and like his run-ins in the first 2 seasons there. We saw it in in episode 5, The Return of the Mandalorian, right after, like, when he was going on his like test cruise and everything of the new Naboo starfighter. So like it's interesting to see them in this like this now like vehicle also be noticed as like this policing type thing. It's weird to see that like see that kind of like unfold in this time and everything like that. So it's crazy. It's crazy to see. It's crazy to then maybe see how this leads to like fractions like later on. I don't know. It is it's interesting because like when I say fractions later on, like we see in the sequel trilogy that the people that are supplying both the First Order and then supplying the Resistance, the ship manufacturers, weapon manufacturers, whatever, they're making them for both sides. They're profiteering from both sides of the war, and in that sense, and I wonder if some of that kind of comes from what we see here. If they're trying to make connections to that of like, because like Pelimoto gets like all freaked out, like Din Djarin is always running away from him. Now he's a bounty hunter, so like he's always kind of he can get caught up in iffy situations where everything may not seem what it seems like, and we've seen that from the Mandalorian. So like it's really interesting to see this kind of change that we get with them, and then I wonder how like all of that even comes then once the First Order rises. I don't know. Getting off the, I'm going too far into Star Wars, going too far away. But once we see Grogu arrive at Pelimoto's place, he has his chainmail. He has. It doesn't seem that he has any kind of lightsaber. So far as we can tell, he has chosen to be the Mandalorian. Now, we did find out in episode 5 about Taz Vizsla, the Mandalorian who forged the Darksaber and was the first like Jedi Mandalorian. So this looks good for Grogu to eventually take that on, interesting to see that he would probably have to kill Din at some point. Not not cool about that. But at the same time, like, we haven't seen a lightsaber. He could have brought it with him. I mean, he's still wearing a cloak. Like, Yoda used to hide his lightsaber underneath his cloak too, so I don't know. He's got the chainmail thing underneath there, so like maybe it's hooked up to the chainmail and we just don't see it yet. I don't know. Then we go. The one thing we do get here though is that R2D2 is like, I'm in a hurry. I gotta go. And then we cut to again inside the ruins of Garza Sanctuary. Of Garza Sanctuary. And when we're in here, this is where like Fennec is running down the plan of what they're going to do. Where Chrysanthemum's going to be in front of like the Capitol Center. They're going to have the Gomorian guards at the space transport, and the mods are going to be down in the workers district and like the Aqua area where we saw Stephen Root and stuff earlier, where we first like were introduced to the mods in that area. They're going to be over there protecting it, and then these three, Fennec, Boba, and the Mandalorian, will be able to take care of things coming here. And with the people of Freetown coming, they should have plenty of support to be able to, hold their ground and everything like that. To be able to hold their ground and hold their stake, hopefully. There's a lot of hope, but that's what Star Wars is. It started with Star Wars started with a new hope, and only hope, Obi-Wan. Then we get Boba Fett and Cad Bane getting in a little showdown. We get and they're going at each other. They're going at it. It's really great. You're late to the job, negotiate, and I'm negotiating on behalf of the Pikes. Both got the both having back shooters and stuff. It's really great. It's really awesome. We get Cad Bane just basically saying, let the spice flow, Boba Fett's like, I will only negotiate with the head of the Pike. Oh, you mean the one who massacred the Tusken Raiders? That the Tusken Raider tribe that you were a part of, that same Pike leader. It to be true. Think about it. And Boba Fett almost literally jumps the gun and almost shoots first. Like, this isn't like a Han and Greedo kind of thing. Like, Boba Fett almost shoots first here, and luckily, Fennec stops him. Fennec stops him and says, if we're going to fight on our terms. Not on his terms. Not on their terms. We're going to fight on our terms. Let's end this. Let's go back, regroup, and like refigure this out, because this is different now. This changes things. And Boba Fett heeds the warning from Fennec and listens to her, or heeds the advice, not the warning, heeds the advice from Fennec and says, okay, negotiations are terminated. And they leave. We get Cad Bane saying, like, you're getting soft in your old age, getting weak in your old age, and it's all very like condescending and talking downish, this entire thing of Cad Bane. And it makes sense because he used to, like, be the teacher trainer, and he's the type, and like Cad Bane is the type of scumbag that would forever think he was better than somebody because he taught somebody something, once or whatever. And yeah, that was really interesting here. But then Cad Bane goes away. Boba Fett, stays there, backs off with Fennec, and they go and regroup. Then we get now this is where things are about to go off. So Fennec again, we get Cad Bane walking away. Fennec, and Boba Fett and the Mandalorian all regroup themselves. Then we get the attack of the strengths of Boba Fett. We get the attack of the Gomorian guards. We get the attack of the mods. We get the attack of Chrysanthemum. Everybody gets attacked that is near or associated with Boba Fett. And it's from the three families of Mos Espa that all agreed to remain neutral with him if approached by the Pikes, but none of, I was like a Fox Mulder there. I wanted to believe that those families of Mos Espa actually were going to stay neutral, but I didn't think that they would, and they didn't. And as the Mandalorian even says in this episode, it was good business. It's smart business. So, and Boba Fett, but then this is the weird thing. Then Boba Fett says, yeah, I know. But earlier, Boba Fett says, how many times could things have gone differently and so much more money could have been made if people just thought differently? With that said, I don't know if Boba Fett thought this one through. Going to the families and everything like that, he should have just killed them all there. Or took them all hostage there. Either way. Because, I don't get that then. If Boba Fett says, I know it was, just smart business, them turning on him, then why even talk to them about neutrality in the first place if you already knew that? Did you really believe that you could flip them? I don't know. So it's an interesting thing. It was just something that, as, watching it again and looking over my notes and stuff again, that I was just you said this, and then you do this, and I don't know if it adds up. In being a better leader of a family. Now, to be fair, he's only ever been a bounty hunter. He's never headed a family before. He's got some stuff to learn. This could be one of those hiccups in the step, and that's fine. Totally cool, totally plausible. I don't hate it. But back to the episode. We get the mods attacked, we get Chrysanthemum attacked, and we get the Gomorian guards attacked so much that they are pushed over the edge to their, what we can only surmise as their final demise. And that, we hear them screaming all the way down. Poor Gomorian guards. They were loyal to everybody that, worked in in Jabba's palace or or living in Jabba's palace as ruler of the territory. So I don't know. I really like seeing them. It was really sweet actually to see them again, and I liked the I liked the newer updated bodysuits that they used for people. for like the actors, or maybe they're just strictly stunt doubles that were underneath there. But either way, I loved the clean. I don't want to say cleaner or better, but I liked the look of the Gomorian guards, and I could tell that they tweaked some things from what we originally saw from them. Tweak might be the wrong word too. I don't know. I just like the look of the Gomorian guards overall, and I don't want to try and yeah. I like the look of the Gomorian guards in this. It was really sad to see them fall to their deaths, or again, their assumed deaths. They could have possibly survived, but whew, that looked like a steep fall. They were really great though. It was really nice seeing them. It was a really nice little callback to the original trilogy. Always seeing them, but once they're pushed over the edge, we hear them fall. So everybody on the comms hears the Gomorians guards fall. Then we get Boba Fett sending Fennec off. After listening to the mayor's the mayor's talker guy, we get an awesome shot of the Trandoshan's who are fighting. Now in this portion of basically the rest of the episode, we're kind of jumping from these three areas basically of Chrysanthemum, of the mods, and then Boba Fett and the Mandalorian, because Fennec then just leaves on her speeder. Shouldn't say just leaves, but she's going after the duty service, or the Desert Survey Office to go stop to go stop it over there. But we get this awesome shot of all the Trandoshan's climbing over and covering Chrysanthemum's face and body and stuff, and it's a really great shot. You tend to see that a lot more in horror movies. I feel like we see that. It's a very common type of zombie horde, or total monster or animal kind of horde that are coming towards somebody or group of people or whatever. I feel like that's a very classic shot like that, but I love seeing it. It was really great to see it in this, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. I love it. We also get Fennec then rescuing the mods, and this is really great because she's Fennec is talking to Sophie Thatcher, and is just keep your heads down. Just be quiet. Just keep your heads down. You'll be fine. I've got not even I got this. Just keep your heads down. And then just starts murking people with her gun. Takes out the sniper in the bell tower. Basically, it's so great. That was almost like a Saving Private Ryan shot there. Seeing that that was really cool. We get the Fennec. We get Sophie Thatcher's character thanking Fennec for the rescue, and Fennec's manners. I like it. You're welcome. And then drives off and is we need you over. Come support us or whatever over here. So they go running to go back to the Mandalorian and Boba Fett. We get the Pikes then walking up all big and bad up on Madame Garza's place, and it actually the thing that comes to mind, just because it's maybe February or whatever, watching this now in February, just so close to Christmas and the holiday season. It reminds me of the elves in Santa Claus with Tim Allen, on how they're walking like this and stuff, and it they give them I almost think of that shot now from Santa Claus, and almost any time. but like another one that I think of actually a lot of like the slow walk up is anything James Gunn has done. He did it in both Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, but also Armageddon. Armageddon has a really good like walk up one as well. Um, so like they have a really great moment of like the Pikes doing that, and I was like, I hate these guys so much, but that's a cool walk up. That's a cool walk up. Um, um, then we get the dueling Mandalorians, not against each other, or I mean, Boba Fett's not really a Mandalorian as Jango was, but Boba Fett inherits his father's armor by like Mandalorian creed. We get Boba Fett and the Mandalorian also talking about what like Boba Fett's like talking to the Mandalorian, you should get out of here. No, I said I'm gonna stay, so I'll fight with you, where we're gonna fight to the end. Well, we're probably gonna die. Well, I appreciate that to you, but this is also part of the creed. This is the way. And he's like, you really buy into that fodder. And he's like, yes, but we will both die in the name of honor. And then we get the name of the episode slipped into a little bit of dialogue here. That's one stuff like that's great. It's good stuff like that. Whenever you get a little something like that in there. We get the offer of of the mayor's domo of the major domo. He goes out there as an emissary on behalf of Boba Fett to the Pikes to negotiate a way, and this whole little bit of him of the major domo like talking with the Mandalorian and Boba Fett after they're just like, we're ready to go in there guns a-blazing and die together. We're gonna die with honor, man. He was like, hey, may I offer another possibility of, I don't know if you can tell this because I've lost a lot of it, but I studied at Coruscant, and Boba Fett's just like, get to the point, man. Just get to the point. Wait, we ain't got time for this. Have you seen outside? Have you seen outside? It's really great. But Major Domo is like, I can go out there as an emissary and I can negotiate on your behalf. That way you don't actually have to do anything. I can go out there, I can cry, I can kiss rings or whatever we need to, so that all of that, all of your like respect and all of that stuff can still stay with you. You don't have to worry about that. And Boba Fett's like, fine, here, give me your tablet. So Boba Fett writes down all of the stuff that he wants the Major Domo, the emissary now, to say on his behalf. He goes out there, presents it to the Pikes, and starts to read it, and the Major Domo should have read it before he walked out there, because let me tell you, he was blindsided by Boba Fett's offer of nothing. Absolutely nothing. They leave the planet and leave the spice trade, is basically his offer. He offers them no real place on Tatooine. They leave, and they leave the spice trade behind, and they just go. They just go on about their way, about their life away from Tatooine. Now, we get a huge chunk of the episode kind of breaks off right here, and it's about to go off. And it does literally with jetpacks. Because let me tell you, both Boba and the Mandalorian, Din Djarin, are flying around in their jetpacks and taking out Pikes and getting knocked back down to the ground and firing back and forth, or like not back and forth, but back to back at the pikes and stuff. And oh man, it's just so good. It's so cool. It was so awesome to see. The jetpack battle is great. Then we get the ground battle as well, which is equally as cool. But I'm like, if you're gonna give me Boba Fett and if you're gonna give me the Mandalorian, seeing them in their jetpacks flying around having that aerial attack is like just greatness, just pure bliss. And I just loved it. It's just so much fun to see. I just love every little bit of it. And then this is where, like, when I watched it the first time, I started to tear up, because this is great, because they do a great job of like kind of hunkering them down, and like I don't know, I like to think that anyone is really like expendable, but I mean that's probably not true. It's not really how like storytelling can always work. I don't know, anthologies are out there. But here we get the people of Freetown show up, and it's important because when Cad Bane showed up earlier, he talks about killing Cobb Vanth. So Cad Bane, that blue little guy, we saw that. We saw him kill him. And the people of Freetown said the same thing. He came in there and he killed him in cold blood. They killed him in cold blood. This planet won't be safe with them here, but at least with you, like, you will at least talk to us, like, work with us or whatever, like, come to terms with us clearly. You don't want to fight us or anything like that, so we will at least work with you here and hear the rest of your plan, is basically what we get here from Freetown. And that was pretty cool. That was really awesome, because they looked in danger, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, they looked in danger, so like seeing all of that and stuff, like, it was great. I love it. I'm a sucker for it. I love it though. I love it so much. It's so much fun. It's so great. Then we get the the mods show up with Fennec to kind of give a little bit of support, but still not enough to get it all done. We get Chrysanthemum showing up, who literally gives me one of the craziest, coolest shots that I've ever seen, and that is a Wookiee throwing somebody up into the air, pulling out his rifle, and shooting said person that he just tossed into the air with said rifle through a wall. Awesome. That is that's just so cool. That's just an awesome action shot in any kind of action thing ever. Like any kind of action fight in sci-fi, just a straight action movie like an Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sly Stallone movie or whatever. But holy cow, that was freaking cool. That was so awesome. I'm still talking about it. God, that I liked it. There's a couple of other really great nods to other things that we get here, and it makes sense. Like, I guess I can say, I mean, everybody can like see it. It's not like I'm like, ooh, secret that I only know. Robert Rodriguez directed this episode as well. And with Robert Rodriguez directing this, like the next two nods we get to other stuff is like really, it makes a lot of sense, especially with what the creature we saw in the first episode and everything like that. But with that, that chrysanthemum throwing that dude up in the air and shooting him back. Oh man, it's so cool. It's so awesome. Then Boba Fett and the Mandalorian like go out there for chrysanthemum to help him out. Boba Fett is the one who actually like throws his arm, like throws chrysanthemum like arm over him and like actually kind of drags him around while the Mandalorian is giving the cover fire as they get back to the people of Freetown speeder that showed up right in the nick of time. We get the Pikes start to retreat, and everybody's like, "Yeah, we defeated him. We pushed him back." Din's like, "I ain't buying it. Nah, not buying it. Don't believe it. Don't believe it." And he flips on his like X-ray stuff that he has, and he sees what looked like. So before we saw in like the prequel trilogy, we saw what I always thought were called droid Dakars, and they were the ones that had the like shields around them, and they had like the 4 legs and the guns, and they were like like that. And I always thought they were called Decars, but maybe they're called something else, and I've just always misheard it my entire whatever. Either way, we see like a bigger size. So when I say blown up, that's what I mean. Like if the droid Dakars are like, you know, maybe 5 feet tall, like we're talking these things are taller than buildings. We're talking like stories almost tall. And so like these things are like huge and on their way, and there's 2 of them that have been deployed by the Pikes to come like, you know, sniff out everybody that's like putting up this little resistance here. And it's wild to see because there's nothing they can do to like really break through it. The Darksaber isn't really even cutting through it, which is awesome because the Mandalorian ends up like doing that as well. Now it's interesting here because it seems like the Mandalorian is wielding the Darksaber a lot better than he was, you know, in episode 5, you know, 2 episodes ago. And so like where he was training with the armorer after he got like wounded and all of that stuff. So like it's interesting that he it's interesting that he is using it with such ease, the Darksaber, the Mandalorian here, or at least he seems to be using it with a lot more ease and a lot more control, which is interesting. It's not a complaint, it's just something that I noticed, which like almost led me to believe a little bit that like maybe somehow Din Djarin will end up being like a little bit of a like a Taz Vizsla, because he's gonna learn like the ways of the Force almost through Grogu a little bit, and then Grogu can win the Darksaber from him, because the Darksaber isn't like passed on that way. You gotta win it in combat, which is actually pretty metal, like but Boba Fett leaves and is like, I'm going to go get some help, and like the Mandalorian's like, what help? Everybody's here. Everybody we have is here. Where are you going? So with the droids coming in, they destroy the ship that's there, and everybody kind of like splits in this like attack. The people go one way, while Boba Fett and the Mandalorian like kind of hold off, try and let people escape. That's when Boba Fett leaves, just the Mandalorian then basically there to kind of help defend everybody and make sure everybody stays safe, which is extremely difficult to do. But the Mandalorian is then found by Pelimoto, and we know who's with Peli: Grogu. The Mandalorian sees that Grogu has the chainmail on, which means that, like, as far as the Mandalorian knows, that Grogu picked to be a Mandalorian as opposed to being a Jedi, and that yes, probably Din being there, uh, uh, Din being like showing up to Luke at the school, or like showing up at the planet where Luke's school is, where Grogu was being changed or trained, was probably a bad idea and changed Grogu's course, because Grogu could have stayed a Jedi. Maybe like without the offer of the chainmail, I think Grogu would have just stayed on the Jedi path. Possibly could have gotten to a point of where he just like maybe left the Jedi. And if that's like the course of like ultimately he was always going to leave, might as well make him leave now and go back. And go back with the Mandalorian, not go back to like the Jedi Temple. So yeah, the droid is still coming after him, so they're still running and like on like this like droid like taxi cart almost. Basically, it's a small little thing. We get the people of Freetown start getting pinned down in there with the mods. They keep retreating. Sophie Thatcher's character is like, no. If we go back, I'm from this area here. If we go back any deeper, we will be pinned with absolutely no escape. What we do is we make our stand here. We dig in here, and they decide to get snipers. And the one of the people of Freetown, one of the women of Freetown, who has a bigger gun that can work as a sniper, goes up to the roof with Sophie Thatcher's character, and it's great. It's a great little like bit here. We get the Mandalorian and Grogu are there, but we also get Pelimoto saying that the Force works in mysterious ways, which is true. We hear that a lot. So I wonder if, like I said before, when he arrived here, we didn't see a lightsaber. On the off chance, did Grogu choose a lightsaber, but then Luke gave him the chainmail as well and sent him back to the Mandalorian? Because that was maybe the final thing he really needed. He just really needed to want to be a Jedi, basically, at that point. And maybe that, or maybe Grogu just straight up chose being a Mandalorian, and that's where, that's what we get here. Not entirely sure. I mean, no. I'm pretty sure when I say he, Grogu, did just pick to be a Mandalorian. There is a slight chance, though, because we don't see a lightsaber, and spoilers, we don't see a lightsaber from him at all in this episode. Again, the only thing we see him do is like stick out his hand and use the Force like he does, like Grogu does. Is again who I'm referring to here. So it's really interesting that we get that line that the Force works in mysterious ways. We also get the we get the droid, like the big droid Dakars are destroying some more stuff. We also get then a shot of like rows of buildings, kind of like in an incline, almost like stadium seats or anything like that. But it's not like a super huge incline. It's like a little incline, probably a little bit more like this, little incline. Here's the top. So we got the camera coming in, like just looking this way, and then we get vroom, 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 like that, and it's a classic Godzilla showing up shot, and it's so great. And then we get one claw, another claw pop up, and it's the face of a Rancor. Oh my god, I love it so much. I just love it so much. We get the two claws up there, which is then like probably way more like King Kong-ish than like Godzilla or anything like that, but we get that nod of like King Kong and stuff, and then we get like a straight up King Kong Empire State Building like Rancor shot that we'll get to, which is really great. We also get what I've always wanted though, and when we see the Rancor, we see Boba Fett riding the Rancor, which is beautiful, amazing. I mean, the second we saw the Rancor, Boba Fett had to ride it. I mean, like, I love seeing Danny Trejo, and like we haven't seen him since, which is a little sad. I love Danny Trejo. I would love to have seen him pop up for more than one episode. But either way, like, this is awesome. I said back when we were introduced to the Rancor that I wanted Boba Fett. If Boba Fett is not riding the Rancor into war, they have missed out. And to say that they missed out on like at least giving me something that I really really wanted, like I loved it. It is not like like this whole battle and stuff that's been going on. It's not like the major it's not like the major war that I kind of thought it would be, but I almost wonder if just due to the grandeur of Star Wars, usually of like such a huge big scale that it's on, that I almost wonder if I thought that this fight would have been bigger when this fight is a little bit smaller, in the fact that it's really just kept to the streets of a city that is a okay sized like city, let's call it, here in the desert, but like it doesn't seem like we're going hundreds of miles in between and like covering all these lands and stuff. Like for the most part, it seems to be a kind of tight place. So it's interesting for me seeing it being shot that way and done that way when I was expecting it to be a little bit more bigger. I was just expecting it to be a little bit more bigger is probably the best way to say it. Like, but not that I'm complaining, because like this has been awesome. Seeing the Rancor work in these quarters like that also works really well. Like I think this all works, but like I really liked a lot of this stuff. Like that Chrysanthemum shot was really awesome. Like the Godzilla nod here, and yeah, there's just so much good stuff that they do here. And then the Rancor just is taking care of business. It destroys all of the it finish off the rest of the droids. It even eats a pike, which is like super gnarly. We get Cod Bane kind of gets Boba Fett tossed off the Rancor because he's like shooting his like fire it shouldn't say fire, the flamethrower basically from his wrist up at the Rancor. Then we get what everybody has been waiting for, including myself. Here's to be absolutely fair. I did not know we were gonna be seeing Mr. Cod Bane in this time at all. Anything's really possible. But I really didn't think we would. I kind of thought he would have been like just kind of stayed in like the prequel kind of era. Not saying that he needed to stay there, but I just would have thought like kind of like job and stuff like that he's in, that he has a high chance of being killed. But all of this has been wild. We get the like, why are you doing it from Cad Bane, like, why are you doing this? I've known you for a long time. What's your angle? Like, what are you getting out of this? And Boba Fett's just like, it's my people, my city. I this is mine. This is where I belong. I belong here. This is where I will be able to rule. Not even just like, this is where I'll be able to rule, but this is where I like, yes, he will be able to rule, but this is where I will be able to like make sure everybody can prosper underneath me, and like we can all be safe, and we can all, have money, and like, so he's talking some good stuff. Right? Like, he's talking some good stuff here, Boba Fett. We get the back and forth between Boba Fett and Cad Bane, like, don't toy with me, faster than you, but I still have my armor. Cad Bane, like, and they have their little shoot off. Cad Bane gets off 2 shots really good. Boba Fett doesn't get off 1. We get Cad Bane being like, you tried to go straight, but you're a killer. There's no shame in me beating you out for this job. We get I've got one final lesson. If there's one final thing, like, I can teach you, it's look out for yourself. Anything else is considered weakness. And the idea of being alone and not having a tribe and not being stronger with people having your back is something that Boba just doesn't believe anymore, even if he believed it at all. So it was really great to see then Boba Fett snap and like take the experience and the life that he lived with the Tusken Raiders, and how he is able to utilize his staff to fight. And oh man, is it cool. It is so great seeing that little I shouldn't say that little, but that fight between Boba Fett and Cad Bane. It's so good seeing this and hearing all this dialogue and stuff going back and forth between them. And so with his final lesson about, look out for yourself, anything else is considered weakness, Boba Fett beats Cad Bane with his Tusken Raider gaffy stick that he made, and stabs Cad Bane in the heart. And we see a little heart monitor kind of going, and it's like flashing. It's not like going super fast or slow or anything, but like it's clearly registering something at the end there, like once he takes his stick out and everything, like it's flashing. So it's still like registering something, I would assume, and it's not like a low battery kind of like issue there. Like it's still registering something. So I don't think Cad Bane was actually like killed. I think Boba Fett thinks he killed him, but I don't think Cad Bane was actually killed yet. It could be a distress signal being sent out to the Pikes. Again, not entirely sure about like what was going on there, but there's clearly like a flashing light on Cad Bane's chest here. And we get the Rancor then is kind of going wild. It is untamed. This is where we get the King Kong like holding on to the building, the Empire State Building, reaching out for like the planes. We get like the Rancor holding on and like holding its arm out like that, like waving like because there's no like planes or like other little like ships or anything flying around that. We get Grogu then, because this episode, we're wrapping up this episode, we're wrapping up this series here. Grogu comes and basically stops the Rancor, puts the Rancor to sleep with the Force, probably the same way that Luke unlocked memories for Grogu about like where he came from, being at the Jedi Temple during the execution of Order 66 and everything like that. Um, it's wild. We get the meeting of the crime lords then. Once Grogu puts the Rancor to sleep, we cut over to the crime lord meeting, and we have the Pikes. We have the other families of Mos Espa, but the Pikes are getting ready to cut and run, basically being like, you said this would be a hospitable planet for us to, send the spice through, but it's clearly not. Like, what gives? The other families of Mos Espa are like, you can't just like cut and run like that. We lost people. This is like bad for us. Again, the Pike's just like, we lost people. You said this place was going to be hospitable. It's been hostile, not hospitable, or anything like that. Then we get a knock on the door. We get shots through the roof. All but the Pike are killed. And then we see Fennec jumping through the ceiling. Or we see Fennec, sorry, not jumping through the ceiling. We see Fennec come in, killing, and being the one who like killed them all. And that's where she was sent after saving the mods. That's where she went. That was the Desert Survey office that they were talking about. It was great. It's so good. It's so good. The Fennec does kill the Pike leader, which is awesome. That felt like very satisfying. I feel like Boba Fett could have probably killed him, but that's okay. But Fennec kills everyone, all the family members that like betrayed her, and Boba and everything. Every person that she was able to find there, she took out. Needless to say. Then we get the Mos Espa streets, and Boba Fett, Fennec, they're walking through the streets, looking at their victory of like people being safe in the street. People are out there. People are having commerce and everything like that. It's a really great time. They had held off the Pike Syndicate. Now they had killed the mayor and all of the other families, all the other heads of the families of the Trandoshans and all of them like that. So Boba Fett now is running everything, and it is super cool to see the dude just walking down the street with Fennec with his mask off. A lot of people have the issue with his mask off, and that's beside the point for me. He's not a real Mandalorian, so like I get where people thought that being in the mask was like really like cool because he didn't really talk or anything like that, which is fine. But yeah, it's just so good seeing him and Fennec walking down being like, yeah, we own this. This is us. We see Chrysanthemum get the fruit that is offered to Boba Fett that he was just holding on to. One of the mods is like, what? The Wookiee gets fruit, but we don't. And it's just like, messing around, just giving people a hard time or whatever. We then end the series and this season with the teaser of The Mandalorian and Grogu going into flying off, and the Mandalorian keeps saying no to Grogu about jumping into hyperspace, and he doesn't know why, but he eventually does it. The Mandalorian does, and that's how the episode ends. Then it cuts to the credits, and we get the awesome, fantastic. Concept art in the credits. In the post credits, we get a little bit of a teaser here. We see that Cobb Vanth with the Timothy Oliphant, the marshal over at Freetown. We see him in the Bacta tank, being modified because we heard Boba Fett saying earlier that there's someone in the Bacta tank, and that's why he's not in there. And that's who it is. So they were able to, far as we can tell, save Cobb Vanth from his from getting shot by Cad Bane, and the modifier is going to help make sure that he stays alive, and that's pretty cool. That is so awesome. This is the longest one I've ever done for Book of Boba Fett, so I'm sorry about that. At an hour and 6 minutes, I might try and cut some out, but nonetheless, this is Jimmy here with the Triple C Collective for Sci-Fi Sunday for the season and possibly series finale of the Book of Boba Fett, which I loved. I thank you all for joining us. You all stay safe. Have a great day.